The Red Sox currently are 20 and 27. They would be 33 and 14, which is 19 games above 500 if they scored the league average of 4.5 runs per game. Welcome everyone to Sox Vent. For this show, I will be recapping every game of this season. However, this first episode will be a little different from all the rest, as it will be a much-needed general recap of the season to this point, as we are 47 games in. So again, the Red Sox sit at 20 and 27. They are last in the AL East, over 10 games back of first place, and currently have a bottom 10 record in baseball. However, hasn't been because of the pitching. Pitching, as this team had immense expectations given their rotation, has been quite good. ERA, 3.75, 8th best in baseball. And, even better, has the ERA been in May, as it's 2.63, which is second best in baseball. So the pitching has been great. However, the hitting, not so much. Red Sox, in terms of hitting, 667 team OPS, which is 28th in all baseball. They only average 3.6 runs per game, unfortunately, which is second worst in baseball. Just have 34 home runs, so no power at all, which is, again, second worst in baseball. Their strikeout rate around middle of the pack, but this team doesn't walk very much either. So the hitting has very much held this team back. And also, this team got off to a very slow start. They won their first game of the season. That's great, 3-0. In fact, there are a lot of wins like that, where the Red Sox score 2 or 3 runs, but do a good job of keeping the other team's offense at bay. However, they would lose their next 5 to drop to 1-5. They'd win their home opener, and then they'd lose 3 in a row to drop to 2-8, which is when everyone started getting concerned and when everyone started going crazy. Those first 10 games, things were ugly, and the problems were actually a little different from where they are right now. At that time, the main issue was the pitching. Ranger Suarez didn't look good, and the defense was also a mess too, as at that time, they had around the second most amount of errors in baseball. But it seemed the Sox would start to find their footing a little bit, as they would go 7-5 in the 12 games following that. They would improve their record to 9-13, and in the 4 series they played, they had a 2-1-1 record. However, they would welcome the New York Yankees to Fenway Park in the rare midweek series between those two teams, as given the rivalry, it always seems like those teams are playing on the weekend, but no. A midweek series at Fenway Park, and it was a disaster. The Red Sox were swept, losing the games 4-0, 4-1, and 4-2. The record would drop to 9-16, and they would then lose the first game of their Baltimore Orioles series at Camden Yards, 10-3. They would win the next game 17-1. However, given that the record is just 10-17, that did lead to Alex Cora being fired from this team. And not only was Alex Cora fired, but many members of his coaching staff, including bench coach Ramon Vazquez, hitting coach Pete Fatsi, along with others. So sweeping changes came to Boston, and he was replaced with Chad Tracy, who was the AAA manager of the Woo Sox. He brought a whole other coaching staff, so big-time changes have been made to Boston. Under Chad Tracy, the Red Sox have kind of just hovered around 500, and although the pitching has very much improved, and the defense, the hitting has remained stagnant, if I am being generous. But again, going deeper into the hitting, there are some bright spots. Bright spots include Cedar Rafaela, Willie Abreu, and Wilson Contreras. Cedar Rafaela, thought of more as a guy for his defense, more of a glove-first guy, he has done great work at the dish, sporting an OPS plus of around 125. Willie Abreu, the one breakout that is actually happening right now, he has been awesome. An OPS plus of around 135, along with playing spectacular defense in right field. Same with Cedar. And then Wilson Contreras, our new first baseman. He sports an OPS plus of around 135, and I would say has been one of the best defensive first basemen in all of baseball if you watch him play, and I definitely think the numbers back him up. So again, those 3 guys have been hitting. They've been hitting quite well. However, it's not like they are tearing the absolute cover off the ball. And more importantly, they haven't been as good as these 3 other guys I'm about to mention have been bad. Let's start off with Trevor Story, our starting shortstop. Again, I've defended this guy for years, but even I have lost faith in him at this point and don't think he should be the starting shortstop for the Boston Red Sox if this team wants to be competitive. He sports an OPS plus of around 57, which is a 547 OPS. And more importantly, although he's hurt now, so we won't be seeing nearly as much playing time, He has the third most at-bats for the Boston Red Sox. So this is a guy that they are churning out game in and game out. And he has been awful, consistently awful. He also strikes out around a third of the time. So what if I told you the Red Sox actually have a clone of that guy offensively? That's Jarren Duran. Jarren Duran has been just about as bad. A 548 OPS, which sports a 57 OPS plus. Keep in mind, OPS plus is a stat where 100 is average. So the Red Sox are churning out guys who are 43% worse than league average, and they get legitimate playing time. Jarren Duran has the second most at-bats on the team. He's been starting the last couple games at leadoff. And then, what if I told you that the Red Sox somehow had a hitter worse than those guys? That's Caleb Durbin. Caleb Durbin, the big acquisition at third base, one I liked at the beginning of the season, has not worked out. Has he played great defense at third? Yes. But can he hit the side of a barn? No. He sports an OPS of 491, which among qualified hitters is worst in baseball. And that is good for a 42 OPS plus. He has the sixth most at-bats on the team. So although Cedar Rafaela, Willie Abreu, and Wilson Contreras have hit well, it is more than offset by the terrible performance from these three guys. And the rest of the team isn't really much better. Masataka Yoshida got off to a fast start, but in his last 9 games, he's just 3 for his last 23. He's regressed to around league average, even though he was hitting well over 300 just around a week ago before his slump. And then Marcelo Meyer, our starting second baseman, again, he has played great defense, hasn't really been getting it done much with the bat. He sports an OPS of just 73. Carlos Narvaez, I think he can be a good hitting catcher, but has gotten off to a slow start at just an 83 OPS plus. When you are consistently putting guys like this in the lineup, it is very hard to score runs and win ball games, and more importantly, keep rallies going. Because it seems that Cedar Rafaela or Willie Abreu will get a couple of hits, but then you get Trevor Story, then you get Jarren Duran, then you get Caleb Durbin there to kill rallies. So again, this team has had a devil of a time scoring runs, especially since in May they have scored the second fewest in all of baseball. And it's a shame because here's the thing. Every other aspect of this team has done quite well. Although the pitching got off to a slow start in the first week and a half, especially during the 2-8 start, it has been terrific. As I've mentioned before, the second best ERA in baseball in terms of team ERA. And not only that is the fielding. Something that has been a big-time issue for this team the last few years consistently has seen some vast improvement. I mean, again, even in the beginning of the season, when it seems the fielding got off to a bad start, they've really cleaned it up, especially under Chad Tracy. Looking at the numbers, in terms of errors, they're around middle of the pack. Fielding percentage, middle of the pack. But again, that is a vast improvement considering where they were just a week and a half in the season and where they've been the past few years. But more importantly is the range. Range-wise, outstanding play-wise, highlight reel play-wise, they are second to none. OAA, technically second, at 20, just to the Cubs, who are at 22. That's above average. It's a really good stat for measuring range for fielders. So they have the second best outs above average. Defensive runs saved, they are first at 36. I mean, you got Cedar Rafaela and Willie Abreu out in center and right field who catch nearly everything. So again, the fielding's been great. Pitching's been great. The main issue, the big issue, and the number one concern going into this season has been the offense. And it is really just more than held this team back. The Red Sox just can't seem to hit, and they have just a devil of a time scoring runs. No wonder they would be 33-14 if their offense was simply league average. Think about that. And it's also no wonder that when the Red Sox don't get a good start out of their pitcher, that leads to them having immense trouble winning games. Because they only have 3 wins in which one of their starters, or I guess bulk guys, as Brian Bayo, has pitched 6 innings and 7 innings from starting the second inning as the bulk guy, have only 3 wins in which that happens. But here's the thing. The Red Sox only have 2 losses in which a starter/bulk guy pitches less than 6 innings. You get a lot of extremes statistically with this team. And it seems that anytime they get down early, they kind of just shut off. When the other team scores the first run, they only have around 2 or 3 wins this season. When the Red Sox go down by 2 runs, this season, they are just 1-13. So again, their offense has been so bad to where they have to lean on their pitching way too much, and it leads to them just overall having trouble winning ball games. I mean, when you look at the scores over the past week, where it seems that the offense has really struggled, the Red Sox, their last 8 games, the scores, not even the wins, the scores 3-1, 8-1. That's a bit of an outlier. 3-2, 3-2, 3-1, 3-1, 2-1, 4-1, and the game before that 2-0. So again, a lot of low-scoring games, and they've only won around 4 of those games. So the offense really has been holding the team back. And also, more importantly, as I've mentioned before, Jarren Duran, Trevor Story, and Caleb Durbin, those OPSs are abysmal. 547, 548, 491. Those 3 players make the bottom 10 OPSs in all of baseball among qualified hitters. 3 players on one team. No other team that has a player in that bottom 10 has more than 1 player, while the Red Sox have 3. Incredible stuff. You have to think about the odds of that. The odds of that, thanks to some AI, are about 1/4% of that happening. Again, it's a level of offensive ineptitude that really can't be topped. And again, the Red Sox are 20-27 because of that. So what do the Red Sox need to do if they want to maybe get on a hot streak, maybe improve? Well, look, it seems more likely that they might just give up and become sellers at the deadline, but I honestly think that these 2 changes need to be made whether they want to compete this season or whether they just want to give up and look towards next year. And the first move is, and I think this is a no-brainer, you got to move Marcelo Meyer to shortstop and Trevor Story to second base. You want to keep Trevor Story on second base, he's got Trevor Story on this team. He needs to be playing second base. All right, I think he'll be a much more valuable player because he does still have a bit of pop in that bat. Second baseman with pop is a rare thing. And Marcelo Meyer, kind of been more of a glove-first guy. That automatically becomes more valuable once he gets moved to shortstop. And then, as I've mentioned before, and just what I think, the logjam, the Red Sox have a logjam in the outfield. Technically not right now because Roman Anthony's hurt, but it's a logjam. They have 5 guys that they're cycling between the outfield and DH, even though there should be really 4 guys. I feel like that's led to a lack of consistency, and I think that has been far more detrimental to this team than people realize. And what the Red Sox need to do is fix it, and that's either trade Jarren Duran or Masataka Yoshida. I don't care how they get rid of him. If the Red Sox need to eat part of Yoshida's contract, fine. If the Red Sox don't really get much in return because the value of those guys is low, I mean, that sucks because I really think Jarren Duran probably should have been traded at the end of the 2024 season. I didn't love that when I first heard about it, but given where we are now, that makes a whole lot more sense to sell high on him. But either way, even if the Red Sox don't get much value, I think that getting rid of one of those players is the definition of addition by subtraction. I think that'll help that team and just give about more consistency and rhythm to them if one of those things happen. So again, the Red Sox, they've been a weird team this year. A lot of extremes, and it seems that when their starting pitchers pitch well, they win. If they don't, it seems like an automatic loss. The team has pitched well, the defense is starting to work, but they just can't hit, and they just can't score, and that is why they currently are where they are.